This section introduces the motion control function of M-Series PLC. This chapter introduces the motion control project in 4 categories of parameter tables: the EtherCAT connection and industrial bus settings in the motion connection settings, and the servo axis parameters using the axis table. This chapter describes steps 2 and 3 in the flowchart. This section explains how to set up an EtherCAT connection in your project. Before using any of the motion control functions, the user must first set up the motion connection settings. The axis setting sequence must be the same as the actual wiring. The toolbox will classify the imported ESI files. In the project management on the left side of the software, find the motion link setting of the motion control or the menu bar above the software. Select the project, find the motion link, and click to enter the motion connection setting interface. Double-click or drag and drop the drive model from the toolbox to add a new axis. Users can import any brand of ESI files on this page, and the drive models tested by FATEC will be classified into the verified section. Depending on the corresponding PLC model, it can be increased to a maximum of 16 axes. To delete redundant axes, press the keyboard Delete key to delete them, or right-click to delete them. Select the corresponding device axis or right-click to rename it. Under the Motion item in Project Management on the left side of the software, find Motion Network and click to open the interface. Find the drive profile in the toolbox and double-click or drag and drop to add a motion axis. Virtual axes are used in the early stages of project planning or as a replacement for faulty servo drives. In the Motion Network Settings window, double-click or drag the virtual axis to add a virtual axis, or right-click the axis to select the virtual axis servo conversion. Here is an example of converting a second drive into a virtual axis. Right-click on the axis. Select the physical axis for virtual axis conversion. Press OK to complete the conversion of the physical axis and the virtual axis. Repeat the same action on axis 2. This section will introduce the axis table, which is used to set the control parameters of the servo axis. Click Project Management, Motion Control, and Motion Axis Settings, and the Motion Axis Settings are below Motion Connection Settings. Unit Conversions and Limit Settings, Work Area, must be set carefully. There are 4 buttons in the toolbar above the axis table. Display Settings. Select the axis of display. Copy. Click the mouse at the top of the axis table to select the axis, and then copy the axis table parameters or the shortcut key Ctrl+C. Paste. Click on the top of the axis table to select the axis, and then paste the axis table parameters or the shortcut key Ctrl+V. Coordinate Transformation. Click the mouse above the axis table to select the axis, and then click the Coordinate Conversion tool to pop up the Coordinate Conversion window. This page lists the parameter categories of the axis, and this chapter only introduces basic settings, unit settings, and jog. Basic Settings displays the basic information of the axis and selects the encoder type. Unit Setting. Set the unit and coordinate conversion to set the drive speed, units, and gain. Jog, jog speed, and other parameters. Axis Table, Unit Setting. The parameters for unit setting are described in the table. For example, when using a 17-bit encoder, the pulse/revolution value needs to be 131,072, 2 to the 17th power. The speed unit and speed gain settings are set in the manual of the axis driver. Axis Table, Operation Settings. The operating setting is a safety restriction for motor control, and the parameters are described in the table. Jog mode is a way to manually control a device. Jog mode allows the user and operator to control the movement of the equipment with greater precision for adjustment, testing, and maintenance. The jog parameters are described in the table, and the difference between startup speed and speed is shown in the figure below right. Suppose there is a linear stage with a total length of 200 mm, a motor with a 17-bit encoder, and a screw pitch of 10 mm in the slide rail. Find the motion axis under Motion Network in Project Management on the left side of the software, and click to open the interface. Select millimeter in the drop-down menu of the unit. Change the decimal point to 2 decimal places and click Confirm. Select Axis 1 and click the Copy button. Select Axis 2 and click the Paste button. A method of testing and running equipment manually or semi-automatically without fully automatic operation after the installation of new equipment or a new PLC program. The main purpose is to check whether the action of the equipment is consistent with the PLC program design, as well as to detect and troubleshoot during operation. Select Motion Control in Project Management. Right-click the motion link to set the servo test run. Select the corresponding servo axis and pop up the servo test run window screen. After initialization, select Enable On before you can use the trial run. Note, the trial run page can only be run in online mode. After entering the servo test run screen, there are 4 states of the axis: no control, positioning control, speed control, torque control. The current axis is idle, so the state is no control, and the corresponding axis can be controlled according to the actual situation. The jog start speed corresponds to the jog start speed in the motion axis table. The jog velocity corresponds to the jog velocity in the axis table. The jog forward and reverse button is pressed and moved according to the selected jog mode until the user releases it. The inching button, when pressed, moves according to the selected jog mode until the user releases or completes the set inching distance. On the left side of the software, click on Project Management to open Motion Network and add a virtual axis. Under Motion Network, click to open the Motion Axis interface. Select millimeter in the drop-down menu of the unit. Change the decimal point to 2 decimal places and click Confirm. Since a 17-bit encoder is mounted on the motor, the number of pulses per revolution is set to 131,072. 2 to the 17th power. The screw pitch is 10 mm and is set to 10 mm per turn. The slide table length is 200 mm, the working area is 0 to 200 mm, and the positive soft limit is set to 200 mm. The starting speed of the jog is set to 5 mm per second. The jog speed is set to 35 mm per second. The acceleration and deceleration of the jog is set to 100 times the maximum speed. The input is 3,500 mm per second square. And the inch distance is set to 50 mm. Click Online Monitor and download the project. Once the download is complete, run the PLC. Right-click on Motion Network. Select Test Run. Select Axis 1 and click OK. Press Initialize to start motion control and click Servo on to start Axis 1. Select the base velocity of the jog and press the jog forward rotation. Then press reverse. Select the jog speed and press the inch to rotate forward. It will automatically stop until the coordinate increases the inch distance to 50 millimeters. Repeat the action. It will automatically stop until the coordinate increases the inch distance to 100 millimeters. Press the jog forward turn. It will automatically stop before reaching the upper limit of 200 millimeters in the working area. The test is complete. The mapping function allows users to flexibly modify parameters when the PLC is operating. This section will demonstrate how to change jog parameters. MPLC provides two commands to dynamically modify parameters. Instruction number 198, Write to mapping table. Used to map multiple parameters, which need to be used with a mapping table. Instruction number 181, Changing motion control parameters. Used to map a single parameter. To map multiple parameters, use function 198. Instruction 198 has three parameters. GP is the mapping group number. N is the mapping starting item number. L is the mapping continuous length. It should be noted that this command is triggered by the upper edge. Select Project Management on the left and right-click to create a new motion parameter mapping table. You can add up to 64 tables to a mapping table with a total of 512 mapping items. The connection between the command number instruction 198 parameters and the mapping table is shown on this page. After editing the mapping table, the values will not be automatically written to the motion control parameters until the function 198 is triggered. In the motion project managed by the project on the left side of the software, find Motion Parameter Mapping in the second item from bottom to top and right-click to add a new table. Click on the mapping table and then click Add Item. Select Axis Table. Fill in the index in Axis 1. Select the jog speed. The data address can be registered with R or D. Enter D100. Copy the first line. Select the jog inch distance. Go to the PLC main program. Find Motion Mode 1 in the toolbox and function 198. This time we will map the first table. Start with the first line. Map two lines. Enter 1, 1, 2. Added a new A contact. Added coils. Right-click the status page to add a status page. Monitor registers DD100 to DD102. Monitor and download. Once the download is complete, run the PLC. Enter jog speed, 50.00 millimeters per second, including 2 decimal places input 5000. Enter the jog inch distance, 120.00 millimeters, including 2 decimal places, enter 12,000. Right-click on Motion Network to start a test run. Select Axis 1. Initialize. Servo on. Enable function 198. Confirm the DN signal. Switch to the axis table. You can see the value of the new mapping. Select jog velocity and the monitor table confirms that the command speed is 50 millimeters per second. Press the inching button to confirm that the inching distance is 120 millimeters. The test is complete. Instruction number 181 has 4 parameters, and the content of the parameters is similar to that of a mapping table. GP is the type of selected table, ID is the number of the table to be modified, N is the parameter number in the corresponding table, and D is the mapping register that is written. It should be noted that this command is triggered by the upper edge. The table lists the item numbers of the parameters mentioned in this chapter in the mapping table. Find Motion Mode 1 in the toolbox and function 181. This time we'll map the axis table. Number 1. Map the first axis. The jog inching distance is numbered 22. Data address D100. Enter 1, 1, 22, D100. Added a new A contact and added coils. Right-click the status page to add a status page. Monitor registers DD100. Monitor and download. Once the download is complete, run the PLC. Enter the jog inch distance, 60.00 millimeters, including 2 decimal places input 6,000. Right-click on Motion Network to start a test run. Enable function 198. Confirm the DN signal. Switch to the axis table. You can see the value of the new mapping. Press the inching button to confirm that the inching distance is 60 millimeters. The test is complete.